Gotcha.
and I mislike the label, but the
Just a heads up,
egg.
we're now going live.
All right, so I will not give that as a platform. Oh, okay, so I just got a notification that we're going live.
There you go. So 3, 2, 1, here we go.
All right.
Recording. All right, folks. This is the first broadcast that we're setting up to the cloud. There we go, folks. And good morning, everyone. And I want to welcome all to the Coffee with Ed the Pagan Show. And I want to say that if this is working the way it's supposed to, we're out broadcasting out part of the Correllian Education Ministries goal to bring you more and more information. And yes, it is absolutely working. I'm so pleased. It's taking a little bit of work. And there we go. We're going to turn that off. And so welcome everybody to Coffee with Ed the Pagan. And this is my first episode. And I'm hoping that all of you will continue to join me. There we go. And we're beginning, as I always do, a little bit of stumbling. Today, 9 years ago, 500 episodes of Pagans into Pagans Tonight, which is over 3,000. Let me introduce myself really quick. I am Ed the Pagan, as I'm known by the mainstream media, as I was named. And basically a year ago, I began on a new odyssey. So I began a fight with the city of Chicago. If I'm known for many things, it's communication, but I started a sustainability project. It was an exceptionally good, which I extremely enjoyed doing. And that was, I was working on it as a worm farmer. But it was one of those things where we grew, we had a great time, and all of a sudden, the city of Chicago decided they did not like my worm business anymore, and they actively and functionally went out of their way to put out. You saw it in the newspapers, you saw it. So that left me in a really kind of odd space. And now today we're in this sort of quarantine zone for a lot of people. Stay at home, sit back. And so today I'm going to show you my favorite coffee cup. This is like one of my very favorites. St. Louis Pagan Picnics, Howard Grove. It's the right size, it's the right flavor of cup that I like. So, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. So surprisingly, 1 year, a little more than a year ago, I was battling it. And that would be a battle that I would actually lose. I would actually lose the business that I was working on, that I had retired from. Previously, I had retired from the Correllian Education Ministry in Witch School to allow others to take it over. And they did a fantastic job. And so about a year ago, a little less, and I decided to go on the road, and I was visiting people. And I began that process. But one of the things that I thought about doing, and I went to Starwood last year, and I've mentioned this before, but this is important and relevant to today. I went to Starwood and I had an encounter, a spiritual encounter, taking sacraments, and then I basically encountered a fairy folk, two of them, male and female, very powerful entities. And in that process, they told me that I was going to carry a message that my war, my conflicts, the things that I thought was going to happen, my life was going to change. And I screamed about it. I wasn't going to let my life change again. I wasn't going to let it happen. I wanted to be where I was. And in that process, everything get arranged for it. It was a very strange time. My friends and family said, okay, we're going to go. The money was found because a lot of the money that I had was like being stolen by the city of Chicago. And I say stolen. To finally let it know, Nature's Little Recyclers ended up being fined almost $500,000. I think all total. I think that, the threats and everything else was a fantastically heavy, just pounding on it. And they didn't want a sustainable business in the Chicago South Side. They made it very, very clear that they were not going to allow us to grow our own food, which is really relevant to where we're at today. They destroyed a lot of farms on the south side of Chicago. And if you're looking at the problems on the south side of Chicago right now, and I make a call out to my friend Steve and Alex and the fights that my son Dale and all of them are involved with right now are to grow food on the south side of Chicago. Very interesting that a year ago they would start this fight, and this year I would have had several acres of land in Chicago under cultivation, but it didn't happen. So the spirit came to me and said, my crisis was coming. but I didn't want to have what they call, UBI, unverified personal analysis. Wow. And so in that process, I gained back my color sight. Well, not gained it. I never had it. I was suffered from double color blindness. And this has been verified. I mean, this isn't one of those moments where I'm telling you something and go, oh yeah, sure, it happened. No, I have real records. I've had real testing since then. I'm enough of a skeptic to want to. And since that time, I got to go to Salem and carried out a great ritual where the oracles were warning us that 2020 was a turning point in so many ways. Now, I will be honest with you. I did a lot of readings in Salem that talked about March, April vacations because my mind couldn't wrap around this. So whenever you hear the oracle warps the message, I did the same thing. I actually had all of the evidence in front of me that we're about to face something really tremendously big. But then one of the things that I say is that, so now our community is entering this time of conflict. So I'm going to start up, and I'm so proud of the CEM Broadcasting Network. And they go, Broadcasting Network? It says, oh yeah, I love simulating and creating spaces online that act like terrestrial objects. So my life as a pagan media person has been terrific. I've been having a great time with that. And I think that's a very important aspect of it. And so I've built radio stations. I've built school, witchschool.com. Now it's there 208. We just passed 280,000 students the other day who have verified accounts. Pagans Tonight Radio, which has over 3,000. Magic TV, which was we actually began November 11th, 2015 on our own platform, and then moved to the YouTube platform in February 2016, 2006. Wow. I want to crunch all these numbers out because I don't want to feel so old. So we're out there. So one of the things I'm going to do with the coffee with Ed the Pagan is I want to bring on guests. Is it okay to bring you on, Lawrence, for a minute?
Yeah.
Good. There we go. We're going to do a little gallery view. And this is my first guest for this is a good friend of mine, Lawrence Lerner. I've only got to know him since the Parliament of World Religions and found him completely fascinating, and he's deeply involved in the work. I'd heard his name before, but like all of us in the pagan world, it's really hard to get to know everybody, and especially on the West Coast, right? And so, So why don't you talk a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, for a moment?
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate you having me on, and I love the work that you do. So, as you said, my name's Lawrence Lerner. I'll start with my pagan. I've been on the path since my 20s, back in the early 80s in Chicago, and I was part of a small coven at the time, and we never encountered anyone else. I mean, we knew about other people, and it's always ironic to me that there was such a vibrant community, and we'd not connected until so many years later. I kept a very low profile for many years, moved to Seattle about 7 years ago, and became very involved in the pagan community, worked with the Pagan Pride Project here. Eventually, 3.5 years ago, became president of Pagan Pride in Western Washington, did a lot of work with pagan groups, and have made interfaith outreach, making us more public for those that care to be, more accepted, easier. And I came out publicly as a pagan, to the business community, to the political community here, starting really at Parliament of World Religions, where I got to meet Ed, Lord Don, many, many others, and spent time with them. And I've been working on a different number of interfaith relationships and building. I joined Religica, which is a group started by a business, a 501c3 started by Michael Treisen and others, who is a trustee at the Parliament, but he's also a dean at Seattle University. And it's meant to be a multi-faith platform, religion without oversight. And I'll talk about that more at another time, but we are trying to also provide a platform for faith leaders to have a different level of voice. And I'm been trying to provide the pagan perspective and bring in other pagan leaders. Professionally, I've been in tech and venture capital for almost 30 years. So I'm a little bit atypical in that I'm a, sort of a corporate business guy, run some large organizations, and traveled the world as a business executive, building everyday technology for companies like Motorola, Discover Card, the coupons that you get in a grocery store. You'll see the little printer says Catalina Marketing. It's in 31,000 retailers. So I've done quite a bit. I'll stop talking about me. It's just kind of a little bit of an intro, but this is great to be on.
So one of the things I'm hoping with Coffee with Ed the Pagan and more shows that we're going to do, so is the idea of technology. And one of the things I loved meeting with you, and disclosure, last year on Starwood, it was probably more for me. Lawrence ended up going, and I was able to catch a ride with him and spend time with him at the last Starwood. And so he was like one of the people that really made it possible for me.
You're completely frozen.
Sort of started looking at it. Oh wow! So every once in a while, these I'm still working on this. Okay, we're gonna have to do a little bit more hardwiring on this. So, folks, you know me, I'm more than willing to roll with anything that happens. We've been through this. So one of the things I think was very interesting when meeting you with Lawrence was the fact that you had such a technology background. I'm a big believer in technology, but more importantly, is that your ability to come out. Now, you are successful and you have control of your destiny in a lot of ways. And that's what people are afraid of, that they don't feel like they have control of their destiny. They don't have control of their lives. So they're always worried about the implications,
Right.
And so that's it. So since you've really become more public, you did a statement about, many faiths, coming out in a world of many faiths on the illustration, CorellianIllustration.com.
Right.
Link on it. It's there today. It's a great piece. I think it's an important message, and I think that people are out there. And now you're helping. I know we won't go into it. I will not go into it because we have to leave a certain amount of mystery. But I know Lawrence has been doing work behind the scenes. Like a lot of there's a lot of us technologists like yourself that do a lot of work behind the scenes that nobody knows.
Yeah.
So we do, and when people think about paganism, they think about the leadership a lot of times, the charismatics and the book writers and all of those. But really right now we're seeing, and I think Lawrence and I share one really important aspect, and that is getting more of the people who are actually supporting the community, such as merchants, the technologists, the underlying sort of economics of it all. That's one of the things we share. And I think that economics is a very important part of what I think we're going to come out of the virus about. How about you, Lawrence? The idea that we need a better economy. Oh, it did freeze again. Oh no. Yeah, he may have had to go. So, okay. So let me go ahead and talk about the economy here. As it is, one of the things I think that's important that we're going to see here in the near future is the idea of, okay, yeah, I am looking, okay, good. Doing my second screen. I'm getting used to this. So one of the things I came out of the message about economy is people say, how are we going to come out of this? So I'm going to give you a first tip of the day. I think this is a very, very important thing. I think this is a fantastic energy piece. I want you guys to all consider this. So let us talk about fairies. So part of, since I've gone, I've had a number of communications with entities in my dreams, in my daydreams, in my visualizations. And one of them has been absolutely this idea of a fairy creation, the idea of fairy folks, very much the idea that we're going to go ahead and, have more interactions with them. And people have asked me, so how's this happened? It goes, well, they've always been with us. And now people are encountering more and more. I'm getting every day saying, I've had this contact with an entity, scientific research about dreams being just fascinatingly more intense. People are talking about their dreams being far more intense. Share your dreams with me, and we will go ahead and we'll talk more about dreams in the future. And we're gonna get some experts on here. We're gonna start doing this sort of wonderful ability to it. But one of the messages of the fairies was that they needed help. They needed more help. That there was going to be a time, and one of the things it is that the world stopped. The world's stopping. The vibrations of the earth are slowing down that are created by men. If we are having a rough time as humanity, as men, women, and good folk all across the world, regardless of how we identify ourselves, we're all, at the end of the day, human. We are seeing an amazing ability for us to begin to see that the earth is taking moments to heal, places that animals haven't been in a very long time. And they're curious creatures, and they're moving into our spaces. I've seen a McDonald's farm, a McDonald's restaurant that became a McDonald's farm by having sheep at it. And I've seen, the idea of dolphins in the forests of in the canals of Venice. I have seen so many imageries of nature. And in my own walks, I'm seeing anoles, or you call them chameleons, or these small lizards here in Florida that are just thriving out there. So animals are taking this moment. Nature's taking this moment. The atmosphere is taking this moment to clear up. We've just seen an ozone center cleanup. And I follow scientific journals. I'm not one of these pie in the sky people, but I have had these encounters, and as a pretty skeptical person, I've really enjoyed them. But one of them was the Fae. So this is it. So the Fae said, the community needs more income to be able to help buy land and create spaces for them. And I go, well, how do we do that? How can you help us do that? And they gave me a very strong image of a well, a wishing well. Wishing wells exist in nature. There's these little spots where people throw coins in. People turn things into wishing wells. And at Salem, Massachusetts, I have it recorded where we took a little bit of that energy and we put it into the Bewitched statue. And that Bewitched statue became an amazing capability. Mm-hmm. And so that became an amazing capability. And at the base of that space, the statue, which had been around for years, started to collect coins. And so in this vision, they showed me that people do not value coins, not Americans at least. We don't see coins as a very powerful or solid piece. We throw them in jars, we throw them in spaces, we throw them in places, and we forget about them. It's gotten to the point where people won't even pick up a penny. They might pick up a nickel, they might pick up a dime. It has to be several coins. People ignore coins. And so the fairies showed me that basically if we created these ideas, and with their help, the idea of a wishing well, we consecrate these spaces to help them and give people hope. Hope. A wishing well gives us hope. It gives us a wish. It gives us a moment of entertainment. They showed me that people were just throwing coins in. Okay, I get that part. The idea that we can have hope. And then my guide, a leprechaun. Yes, I know. As silly as that seems, it was an impression of a leprechaun. And everybody says, oh, did he wear a green hat and a green jacket? No, actually, he wore a suit of leaves. And it was very interesting that I couldn't describe him in physical terms, but I could describe him in energy terms. And it was an entity that represents value, that represented power, it represented authority, and invented the ideology, the reality of the idea of the treasures of the earth was the answer of it. So leprechauns in this aspect, in my mind, were the representative of the earth. And he said, if you honor us and build these wishing wells, we will attract these coins into the wishing well. So this is it. I go, okay, how is that helpful to us? So we have a bunch of coins, and this moment of disdain of coins came through. Think about it. How many of you would toss a coin into a wishing well? A lot. And then he took these coins and he put it into a wheelbarrow, a very traditional image, and he took it to the bank. Now, the bank he took it to in this vision that I had was more like the Grimwald Bank, or more of a spiritual bank. But he dropped the coins at the bank, and the bank turned around and handed him gold. That's right, gold coins. And in my mind, and he said, express it, it says, gold is assets, whatever you want to turn it into. Honor the fairies, build wishing wells. and you will see coins you can convert to gold or to assets, to land, to property, and then honor us at these spaces and we will help you. So the fairies, the fae folk, the energy of these people that these entities showed me in a very strong way how we can help ourselves coming out of it. So this is my first thing about helping us change the dynamics. I don't think we're coming out of this, we're going to care any more about coins than we do now. I think the populace are more than happy to give us this enchantment. And if we honor the fairies and make sure that we honor them and bless them, they will help us collect these coins to create these spaces. Think about that. Magic in action, not a UPN, a universal, unidentified personal gnosis, but something that you can tangibly do. Build yourself in this period of time a wishing well for your charity, for your group, for any purpose that you want to. Ask the fairies to help you and make sure when they come to you and ask you about what you're going to do with it, how you're going to honor them, that you do honor them. Milk, honey, candy for goblins. There's some great people out there. Byron Ballard has a whole thing about how dealing with the good neighbors. And these are not, do not mistake these for small entities that are just so friendly and everything else. But then we can do this and they will help us enchant these sort of wells, enchant this with a magic to be very attractive. Think about this. Anyone can do this. If you say you can't do something, this is something you can do for practically nothing. Build a nice, you can take out entity. It can be cardboard boxes that are dressed up. It can be jars that are dressed up. It can be any number of things to be an attractive attractant to individuals. Bless it and ask the fairies to help you, and then put it into public spaces to collect these coins, and then use these coins for a good purpose. Isn't that fascinating? And today, this insight still rides through me. And I've talked with people, and people are talking about doing it. So if you're at a pagan pride event, set up a wishing well. If you're at a picnic, set up a wishing well. Anywhere you're at, if you're going to be in a public space, set up a wishing well. And if you want to do something a little fancy, you can put little pieces of candy, you can put little things to exchange, but it's not necessary. All they need to know is that there's going to be a wish. I've seen people, I saw in visions where people put little pieces of ribbon they can take away with them, but it's not necessary, but it kind of adds to the glamour. Anything that's going to bring them into a moment to wish for it. We call it the Tinkerbell moment. Do you believe? Do you want to believe? So by increasing the belief in magic through the use of a wishing well, we increase the magic available not only to ourselves, i.e. energy such as in income, and also the energy of the fairies, the fae folk, the good neighbors, all of these energies that they will then be able to also feel that energy. That's my first real strong tip about how we can economically change the way our community works. Fun, relaxed, simple, easy. And I'm going to be continuing to bring you these types of messages as we go. And so this is, with the coffee with Ed the Pagan. I forgot to ask Lawrence, what was this type of coffee that he was drinking this morning? I'm going to get better at this. So this is one of the encounters today. So today, relax, breathe. If you want your own fae encounter, and there's people who will tell you shouldn't attract them, and or do so, but find out ways. Look up different ways of dealing with them. There's a lot of great people out there. There's Seership, Ryan Foxwood does books on this. There's a number of people who do it, and I'm hoping to get them on to talk about their experiences. But think about it. Work with your kids. Build a wishing well. Put it by your door. See how many coins it attracts. Even in your own household, it can attract coins. Think about it. I mean it. I mean, kids will love putting coins in and things like that. Such a simple, straightforward way to bring blessings of the fairies into your house. So that's my magical tip of the day. Let us go ahead and talk a little about I can do it. So let me talk a little bit about what I'm hoping to do. Today, an album is dropping, Cloud Misconceptions by Richard Buchanan. I'm going to have him on later this week. We're going to have musicians on if you want to be on this show. And you want to help me build the Carolian Education Ministries ability to broadcast. So let me go ahead and talk about this for a minute. And so this is the beginning of a vastly powerful experiment into CM Broadcasting Network. And that is another simulation of what we have in the world that is very physical and very costly. You've heard my commentaries about how today with Facebook Live and other systems, we have a broadcast network on our phone. We do. A whole truck that we can do live reports and do other types of recordings right from our phones. They've replaced a truck that was worth $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to build. Yep, they would. You know it. You know the truck I'm talking about. It has Channel 7, ABC News in Chicago, and it goes to Channel 5 in New York. And these big trucks come in, go to an event, and then you see two guys jump out, the reporter and the cameraman, and there's sometimes a third person inside. And they have all these banks of telephone device. They send up their satellite dish, and they kind of broadcast from it, and they hope that everything works, and they go into a place and do a broadcast. You've seen it. You know exactly what I'm talking. I've been interviewed so many times, Wrigley Field and everything's by these trucks, and they're amazing and fascinating. I even went to go buy one used. So it's like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old one used. Back in the 90s. Yes, in the 90s, last century. And because Fox News was changing over, or not Fox News, Fox stations were turning over from a local station to these new networks, and they were replacing their trucks. I went to go buy one. They told me $175,000. And today, one cell phone can do that. Not only can it act as a receiver, but it can act as a transmitter. We're seeing dematerialization, democratization, and demonetization and dematerialization of major systems. I did this back in 1998. I began what was the equivalent of a newspaper. I did. And I love the idea of newspapers. Before that, I did magazines. I did physical magazines, Roundtable Magazine, Second Chicago Magazine as publisher. And my partner in crime, as I always say, the Reverend Don Lewis, we were able to develop these magazines. And each month, we'd spend hundreds of dollars a month developing magazines. And in 98, it was like, okay, we're going to move over completely to the internet. We'd been on the internet for a couple of years and doing various things. And we began the Daily Spell e-newsletter on a group called E-List. Yeah, nobody even remembers One List. And it became e-groups, and then it became Yahoo groups. And with that, we were able to build thousands and thousands of people on these lists. And it became a newspaper I could deliver every day to your mailbox, except it was electronic. And it was for almost nothing: time, energy, the cost of the internet connection, the cost of the computer. Then we went into Witch School, which we created an online school. We were actually first. We had to actually build the software. Lisa Tuitt was a magnificent programmer that we were able to have work with us and become a co-founder. And she worked with us for a number of years to build the original Witch School site from scratch. We just had it recently rebuilt by that team, which was led by Reverend Lori Denman, who actually ended up leading it along with Don and a number of other people. But we've just recently rebuilt it because we have a commitment to a lifetime of education. That's what we committed ourselves to. And so it's witchschool.com, which helped us begin the structure of it. The next thing we would go after is TV, Magic TV, and we really worked hard, but we never really got there in the way that we wanted to. But in 2005, November 11th, 2005, we made our first broadcast. It was an amazing opportunity. The back of what we would call the Gray Elephant in Hubson, Illinois, we broadcast pagan nightly news for the first time. It was a lot of work, but even that was far less the cost of it. Then we joined YouTube, and we saw that democratization and dematerialization and the demonetization of the cost of doing it. And to this day, Magic TV has over 3,000, 4,000 videos of interviews from across the pagan community. Amazing stuff. And if you're there right now, you're seeing this YouTube live. We're actually broadcasting live onto YouTube today, because the things have changed. And so the next thing we would do is Pagans Tonight Radio. Now, in the 90s, I was actually considered one of the pioneers. I was one of the very first people to have their own radio show. And I did it through a system called brokered radio. We paid for it ourselves. We just did. And we would go on the air once a week at the cost of $75 in 1991. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a lot of money. Think about it, today with the cost of a podcast. Today, the cost of podcasting for an entire month costs less than it costed us for 1 hour of terrestrial radio. Yeah. And we used that since 2009 to create a 7-day-a-week radio station across the board where community members got to speak their minds. And we have over 3,100 episodes there right now at paganstonight.com, ready and anxious for you to watch. So we've watched this democratization. Billboards, Facebook. We went into Facebook world. We had the Ning site, which was the Daily Spell, which allowed us to do more of that material. So we've kind of always been in this game of doing it. But now we have this opportunity to create sort of an audio-visual communication system that will act as a broadcasting network. And here's where the value is. So we saw it for the Correllian Lustration, and we're going to be helping on upcoming events. I want you to pay attention to Three Gates and Pagan Unity Festival. They're going to be doing there. We're talking to other groups as well. It allows us to do a conference. Reverend Nikki is going to be doing Authentic Leadership May 29th. They're going to do this sort of in essence. We're talking about building other types of platforms. We can use it for webinars. You've seen a lot of people using this platform for webinars. But today, you're seeing it being used for the first time as a broadcast network across multiple platforms. So today's magic isn't just the fact that I'm talking to you here on Zoom. I'm also talking on Facebook, several pages. If this has worked properly, Twitch. That's right. The Gamers Center. I mean, this might not fit their material, but there he goes. Periscope, which is on is part of the Twitter universe. And plus YouTube Live, and there are more coming so that we'll be able to broadcast it out. So not only am I talking to you today, I'm able to talk to others today. And we'll be able to bring on people like my good friend Lawrence, which if you check it out, Pagan Pride out there. He's doing a lot of good work. Look him up on Facebook and see what he's doing. I will be talking to more people as we go along. I'm hoping to have more interviews, more places, more spaces. And if you want to be interviewed here, terrific. So this is my first half an hour. We'll do it. When we have more information, I will go out there. If you want to develop a show on the Correllian Education Ministries systems, which means we provide education, because we believe that everyone has a right to a magical education wherever, whenever, and whoever they are, anytime, anywhere, any place. I think this is access for that. So I want to thank you all, and blessed be. And blessed be is something we say. And people have asked me before, what does blessed be mean? It means, may you be blessed in the ways that you walk. And so with that, thank you for being part of my first meeting, my first broadcast, my first coffee day. Enjoy your coffee. Tell me what you're drinking, and let us see how this worked. And tomorrow, I will be back again for coffee with Ed the Pagan.